at a high level, if you or me, you have, 14 hours of awesome content, how would you launch this assuring like the maximum amount of views? So that, would you stagger it 2 episodes at a time? Would you release one a week? What would, one every 2 weeks? And then what can we do outside of our email list is tiny. It's less than 300 people that have opted in, right? So outside of just some high level tips on like ensuring that, because you at one point didn't have a YouTube channel, right? And you uploaded your first video, right? And that's where we're at. So how do we ensure success, as much success from the start as we launch this podcast series?
Yeah, cool. So, a couple things. So, all right. First things first is like, I think you should change your mindset a bit, right? Like this idea that like, oh, I don't want this nightmare scenario where it launches and it gets 23 views. It's like, who gives a shit, right? It's like the first video on your channel. Like, so it got 23 views, like whatever, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? Like it's out there. You're doing this for the long term. From our conversations and from the energy, I get that you're probably building what you're building now for at least the next 7 years, is I think. And so, somewhere between now and the next couple of years, like that channel is going to get somewhere awesome. And they always start a little slow. That's kind of how it goes, right? And there's nothing weird about that. It doesn't look bad on you. It's par for the course, right? Like you're just starting a channel. So whenever I've started anything, and I've mentioned this to a lot of you, right, is like, I always decide on, generally the number is 100. And I'm like, I'm going to make 100 YouTube videos I'm proud of, or I'm going to make 100 newsletters that I'm proud of consistently, and getting like the metrics out of the way, even like recently, like last week, we published a video last Tuesday. It was like me, I shot this in Japan, snowboarding, all that. I think it's got like 8,000 views, which is like not much, like for our channel, right? But I'm not like, doesn't keep me up at night. I'm not worried about it. There's some things to learn, but there's a lot of other considerations. Like, it was a different kind of format than we generally post. So it's newer to a lot of people. And for a lot of people, they're not going to be as into that. It's more of a vlog style, which it's going to have its own market. And what people generally know me for is more of like a value style video. So what it does do is, even for those 7,000 to 8,000 or whatever views it got, it like shows people who Matt really is and sees more behind the scenes of who I am. And so it really serves still an awesome purpose. So I don't get caught up in the metric side of it. I know that like things are going to grow, views are going to grow. From my experience too, just building different brands, what I've learned is like, what's a media brand that's like all about views? BuzzFeed, right? And BuzzFeed's bankrupt, right? Like BuzzFeed is not a brand. No one would wear that shit on us, I don't think, right? And on the other side, like there's brands like, I don't know, any other brand you like, right? Like these cool brands up and coming, like Represent or Minted New York or what have you, right? That these brands aren't prioritizing views. They're just building a brand, and if they're making content that's true to them, that they feel good about, between time 0 and time 5, people are going to start taking notice. The right people are going to see it, and it will go from there. So you have these like 13 videos in the hopper, and how I would be distributing them is like thinking about the content strategy you can stick with over, say, the next 6 months. If I were you, I would think it's probably every other week back in Apkin. If it feels like you can do more than that consistently, then sure, do more, like all to you, right? But come out with maybe one every other week for a second so that the algo gets kind of used to, okay, this guy's publishing regularly every other week. What you don't want to have happen is you post, say, 3 a week, but then you don't post for 2 months. That's not good. Like the algo kind of needs to see consistency, whatever that consistency is ideal. It's not the end of the world if you miss it, whatever, but you want to avoid it if you're being hyper strategic. So I would simply go and start distributing the video once every other week. I would make sure that when I distribute it, it goes live on YouTube. It goes to any communities I'm a part of. I'm sharing it with some friends. I'm putting it in the newsletter. I'm putting it on social. And initially, YouTube especially, it's almost like when you write a book or any other product you have, it's like its own product. Like you may have to like just share it with some people via text initially, share it in your newsletter. Like it's going to have a humble beginning. And I personally actually think that's like the beauty of it. You look at Mr. Beast's first videos, like they're super humble and shitty. And like, him counting to 100,000 on like camera, off his computer. I view it more as I'm like creating this like catalog of work, and it's going to gradually build over time. And that's just kind of like the reality of the game. So I don't fight it, or I don't nothing. I just more think, how can I make this sustainable? How can I be as intelligent as possible, which I think is what you're asking. And so, sticking to a content strategy I can stick with. For you, again, when I started, it was actually once a month, because that was all I could stick with to keep it at the bar of quality we were shooting at. Then after about 9 months, we moved to once every other week. And then just like a month ago, we moved to every week. But that was like 2 years in the making, because at the quality bar we were trying to hit, I couldn't keep up with that. And our team couldn't, and the quality would have suffered. And we weren't willing to suffer. We didn't want it to suffer. Now, this is a brand decision. This is not like a YouTube decision. Like we could have done every week, but the videos would have been shittier, and we were unwilling as a brand to say, we will make shittier videos to keep up with the quantity. So you just got to discern what makes sense for you. I think that everything I just said probably makes sense to you. And so just the major shift though in the mindset is just, again, focus on making 100 that you're just fucking really proud of, and pour your fucking heart into that. And inevitably, we all know here that when all of you guys are putting your fucking artistry, your genius, your passion, your love into anything you've done in life, whether it was your parents, your relationships, your spouse, your product, whatever, if you really put your all into that, and your all is going to change over time, right? What you think is your all in your first video, you're going to learn, oh shit, actually I could do even more come the 15th video. And as you just keep pouring it in, right, as much as you can, the platform will reward that. I know that to be true. I know from speaking with people that are 10 times larger than me on the platform that this is true. So what I'm most focused on is just how generous can I be? How much can I just like find amazing guests? How can I provide amazing value per second? How can I make sure that the camera, the lighting, the cinematography, the editing, the title, the thumbnail, all the parts of YouTube OS and those variables are dialed in? And as I keep just on this endless journey of mastery, the platform will reward me for the mastery and the consistency.
It's super reassuring to hear that, because what you and I guess, suffer from similarly is this obsession with brand and just like overachieving. Like we rented studios, got the best mics, got the best lighting, and a lot of people will say, just if you're proud of your first YouTube video, then or any product, you've waited too long. But like you, I decided to like go all in on it. So it's assuring to hear that you did the same thing and prefer to do once a month instead of producing a bunch of shit content over 30 days or something, right? For YouTube specifically. So yeah. I think I just got to set up the channel, upload the first maybe 2 videos, blast it out to my friends and family, hustle a little bit. I guess, and I believe in what you're saying. If you have amazing content and you're delivering value and the brand essence is there, it'll attract more people. Done it before.
The last thing I'll say on this quick is just that this is also true. And I think it's also like the kind of people I want to attract is like, people are not subscribing to your channel. They're subscribing to your journey. Right. And so what that means is like, it's like, oh, even the first videos are like shit. Right. But it's like, oh, the next ones are a little better, and he's investing in this. And then the next ones are like a little more valuable, and he's getting more confident on camera. Oh, and the next one, like, wow, how did he land that guest? And oh shit, the 5th one, he's opening up and being super vulnerable. I didn't think he'd ever share himself like this. And they're like subscribing to this journey, right, of like how you're growing. And when you think of it like that, you're not so worried about like, how an individual video is and, being super, analysis paralysis about it. You're just more like, yeah, like a bunch of this could have been better, or I screwed up here in this one, but it's like, no, like ship that. That's part of the journey. Like people would want to see that. Similar to mine, right? Like I think technically I could be growing my channel a lot faster if I just picked like one format, so people could like just know to come and love like one format from me potentially. That could be the case. That said, like I want to kind of have like a few formats. I have like a vlog format. I have like more of a whiteboard format, and like deep systems / value formats. And that's what I want to do. And it shares kind of a journey. It shows kind of the different facets of like me as a human. And I think I'll bring the right people to me versus just the people that want maybe one of those. like folks that maybe just want to vlog. But I think those people, if I just gave that, it's too entertaining. And I'm not looking just to entertain people every week. There's kind of these few facets I want to make sure come across. So yeah, just making those kind of decisions for your brand. But that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like what you're doing, or else I wouldn't be here, right? So you probably caught me on an entertainment one. Then I went, who is this guy? Oh shit, this is cool. And he delivered value. And then I said, I got to sign up. So there's a different journey for every buyer persona, but not that you need my validation, but I think you're doing it right on your end. I will say I will ask one more question, sort of like, see if I can pull something out on this thing. When you launched, was there any like silver bullets, there rarely are, that helped you kind of out the gate? Like, did you run ads?
Yeah.
Did you do a little bit just to oil the machine, or any little hacks that help give you your first 1,000?
So for me, when I started YouTube, it was already about a year and 2 months into like my personal brand journey, right? Okay. So I had an email list of, let's say, 60,000. I'm just naming back a napkin number. I had an X audience of 90,000. I had a LinkedIn audience of 120,000. These are back of napkin numbers. And so, yes, like that, I guess, is the silver bullet. Okay. Number one is like, I had gotten started on all those platforms shittily, messily, with whatever I had and been consistent there. All the things I just mentioned for YouTube, same mindset, same approach on those platforms too. And because YouTube was like the third or fourth mountain I was tackling at this point, I was able to cross-pollinate and leverage these other mountains I had somewhat, moved along with to cross-pollinate that audience onto YouTube. So that's one. That wasn't and that's a solid lift and solid embedding, let's say, of going from 0 to your first, let's say, 15,000 subscribers. I'll just back a napkin. The second thing, which is more relevant to you for sure, okay, and it's very curated, is as follows, okay? When you go and you create a podcast specifically, okay, you benefit if you can do the following, okay? This is like one silver bullet that most people don't know about. If you go and interview a large guest that has a large YouTube presence, when they go and they're featured in the video, you've built this relationship with them. You can say, hey, the video came out, super proud of this one, gotten a great response. Would you be able to go and share this to your YouTube community tab? They can share the video on their community tab. And if they have like 1 million subs on YouTube, everyone is now seeing it almost posted to their YouTube in their 1 million person audience. And then they come from that audience to you. So what does this mean? Well, for a fact, when I did this with Dan Coe, when I had him on, say 18 months ago, back in Napkin, he drove, let's just say 15,000 subscribers to my channel. I'm just naming a number. That could be a little bit much, but let's just say 10,000. Yeah. When Hormozi, I don't even think Hormozi's team would share it to his community tab. But when Ali Abdaal did it, Ali Abdaal did share it to his community tab. I think I got another 4,000 subs. I'm just naming a number, right? So that's like one thing. So what does that mean? If you could, and this sounds a little weird to some people, try to prioritize guests with large YouTube presences.
Yeah. First, right? Early.
Yeah. And then secondly, this is relevant for everyone for sure. The thing to think about is like, how do you embed distribution into any product you're building? And so in the context of what we're talking about here, we're talking about a podcast. So distribution is distribution. So if maybe there's someone that just has a large newsletter list as a founder, and you're like, shit, I'm going to go and interview this guy because maybe when I make this badass podcast, he would share it to his massive newsletter list. Right. So I've named YouTube is like the pinnacle. If you're creating a YouTube podcast, you want to share it on YouTube because the person is going to share with their massive audience. It's one click for that person to then watch the video and subscribe to you. Yeah. But it's also really good if you can just be finding people that just have large audiences, period.
Yeah. I think for me, it'll be Neil Patel probably then. I'll prioritize Neil because he has not a huge YouTube audience, but
that'll help. I think he's got 1 million on YouTube. Yeah.
So that would be, I think he'll do it too. So I'll start with Neil and then do Dan.
Keep going on the list. I would make a list of 30 people and reach out to all of them. Yeah.
Okay. I've already got them. So I just have to release them, right? Perfect. They're in the can. Yeah. Makes total sense. And I saw your interview with Neil, with Noah, with our friend Noah. It was really a kick-ass. You did a really good job on that one too. So I know it's a wild.
Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for the tip. I appreciate it.